Steppe Tales has wandered a little off the tourist track in this episode and into the industrial zone to peer a little more closely into Kazakhstan's industrial and innovative development program. One company that decided to invest money and technology into Kazakhstan's future was General Electric, the giant American conglomerate which has established a railway locomotive assembly plant in the capital city of Astana. Before having a look at the new Evolution locomotive and its assembly process, I spoke to General Electric's plant manager, René de la Peña.
So you're part of the industrial and innovative development program of Kazakhstan.
Yeah.
How do you see the future of that? How is that growing?
Oh, I mean, there's a huge interest to industrialize Kazakhstan, and they're putting so much effort on localization. And General Electric is also really interested in supporting the localization efforts, also to make manufacturing more efficient and to grow in the country as well.
Right.
The weather, though, the weather in Astana so far is not that friendly in the winter, but you also learn to live with it. You know?
You learn to live with it, yes. Yeah. And there are compensations for that, of course, because it's such an interesting place, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So you get one thing for the other. And the other thing is important when it's when you have these really bad temperatures in the winter. Life doesn't stop. I mean, people keep activity. Right. I mean, you find fun things to do even with low temperature. So it's an exciting city.
A modern diesel-electric locomotive has thousands of assemblies and components, and it simply isn't viable or economic to build one from scratch. Most of the vast bill of materials that comprises the Evolution are sourced from specialists.
This is the chassis of the General Electric Evolution engine. And this is the spindle where they put the wheel sets to allow the engine to run on the rails. The General Electric factory buys most of its assemblies in, things like the engines and the wheel sets and the motors and the generators, things like that, and then they assemble the engine together from these components. But this factory is where they produce the frames. The actual chassis of the locomotive is fabricated here, and it's done in 3 steps. There's a step over there where they assemble the first part, then they turn the engine over, and then they bring it over here and they assemble the final components onto the chassis before the final assembly stage. This particular unit uses a V12 engine rather than the standard Evolution V16 engine, because on the Steppe you don't need such power. There's no mountains to go over here.
Soviet-style sweatshops and Blake's dark satanic mills have long since been consigned to the shameful history of the dangerous industrial hades that characterised more than a century of metal bashing in many parts of the world.
After this, the whole thing is taken. There are 2 75-ton cranes which pick up the engine, lift it up, put it over onto another area where they balance it. So all the wheels are balanced and the engine is therefore ready for service. It can be used. Once they've done that, they put them back onto these rails and they take it off for finishing.
The 4,400 horsepower diesel-electric locomotive has been produced by General Electric since 2003 and is currently in operation on railways throughout the world in various models. The basic construction and layout is similar for all of them, but their outward appearance is radically different depending on the country and operator. The thing that characterises all the models is the radical changes that differentiate the model from its predecessors. New US environmental regulations that came into force in 2005 demanded leaner burn engines and lower emissions, and this is exactly what the Evolution delivered. A 5% reduction in fuel consumption and a staggering 40% reduction in emissions drove the final nail into the coffin of noisy, thirsty diesel locomotives that belched black smoke into the atmosphere wherever they were driven.
Kazakhstan has 15,000 kilometres of track. Only 3,000 kilometres of that is electrified. The rest has to be run by diesel locomotives like this. The Evolution was designed to provide that kind of transport over these kind of vast distances, and more than 40% reduction in emissions. This is the first green locomotive in Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstan's railway landscape is changing rapidly. Inefficient Soviet-liveried locomotives are being replaced by the latest in railway technology. Rolling stock is being replaced, enhanced and added to with the aim of increasing railway transport in the country, and a new standard gauge route is currently being carved through the Steppe to connect China with Europe and strip days out of journey times.
So we've had a very interesting day today in Kazakhstan's brand new locomotive assembly plant, where I even had a chance to drive the new Evolution. So next time it'll be even more interesting on Steppe Tales, when I'll continue to show you Kazakhstan through the eyes of a foreigner. Bye.